We want to take you right now to Louisville, Kentucky, where police and state officials are speaking about this morning's mass shooting at a downtown bank building. Let's listen.
The suspect is the suspect name in this case. The suspect has been identified as Connor Sturgeon, white male, 23 years of age, who was employed at Old National Bank. His weapon of choice was a rifle. We have 5 total deceased, which includes him, but I want to acknowledge with heartfelt condolences, prayers to the family of those who lost their life today. Tommy Elliott, 63 years of age. Jim Tutt, 64 years of age. Josh Barrett, 40 years of age. And Juliana Farmer, 57. We have a total of 9 victims who were treated and are being treated at University of Louisville Hospital. 3 which are in critical condition, including our officer. 3 who are listed in non-critical condition, and 3 who have been treated and released. The 2 officers who were struck in exchange of gunfire, one of the officers, he was grazed to the left side, and the other officer suffered minor injuries to the elbow. I just want to let everyone know that the officer who is in critical condition today, Officer Nicholas Wilt, 26 years of age, just graduated from the police academy on March 31st. I just swore him in, and his family was there to witness his journey to become a police officer. He was struck in the head, engaged in this incident. Nick has come out of brain surgery and is in critical but stable condition as we speak. I've been down there with the family and given my love and support. Been with all the families today to show our love and support for them. And if anything else that they need from LMPD, we will provide that. The next few days are important and very critical for Nicholas's recovery. This will be a long, complex investigation involving local, state, and our federal partners. I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge our federal partners who have just been outstanding, our local partners, ATF, FBI, I thank you. Our local partners, University of Louisville Police, EMS, Emergency Management Services, thank you. Thank you for everything. And for my LMPD officers who took it upon themselves to not wait to assess everything, but just went in to stop the threat so that more lives would not be lost. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, even when sometimes you are just felt like you're not appreciated. But I asked my officers when I addressed them today, if we don't do it, who will? And so they're very committed, and their resiliency showed today, and their professionalism showed today. I want to thank the governor. I want to thank the mayor, who has been with us every step of the way through this trying and critical time. But I want to encourage the public, if you have any additional information, please call 574-LMPD and assist us. This should not continue to happen. Evil should not try to prevail and take over our city, and we let it happen. So I'm encouraging everybody that we unite and that we continue to do the good work, and LMPD will continue to keep this community and this city safe.
Thank you very much, Chief. Today is a day that's heartbreaking for our city, for all of us, and especially for the people who were in that office at Old National Bank and their loved ones. We just heard the chief give the names of the people who lost their lives in this mass shooting this morning. One of them was Tommy Elliott, a very good friend of mine, of the governor's. To Tommy's family, to the families of Jim Tutt, Josh Barrick, Juliana Farmer, Rachel and I join you, families across our entire city and beyond, in grieving this shocking and painful loss of your lives. The chief, the governor, myself, we visited in the hospital this morning with several of their families to offer them our support and our love during this unthinkable day. We will continue to offer our support and love and anything else we can provide to help them. We were also there, along with several of my colleagues from Metro Council, to thank and support the officers of LMPD for their heroic work today and every day. And say thank you to the new graduating class who was there to support their colleague, Officer Will, as he continues to fight for his life. Let's be clear about what this was. This was an evil act of targeted violence. And to add to that tragedy, a few blocks away, shortly after this happened, another man lost his life and a woman was shot in a completely different act of targeted violence. The two incidents appear to be entirely unrelated, but they both took lives. They both leave people scarred, grieving, and angry. I share all of those feelings myself right now. This is really difficult for all of us across the entire city to process and accept. I ask that we respect the needs of the families and loved ones of the people whose lives were lost today and the people whose lives will never be the same. I'm a survivor of a workplace shooting. To the people who survived, whether you were physically hurt or not, I know that you're hurting too. We are here for you as well. To the survivors and the families, our entire city is here to wrap our arms around you. We've set up a family assistance center through the Red Cross to provide support and services to those families today and in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead that we know will be challenging. To provide you with whatever you need to deal with the trauma of this moment. The same applies to our police officers and first responders. Our city is here for everyone impacted. We are a strong city, and we will be here for support. As the chief mentioned, our LMPD officers went into that building knowing that they were risking their lives to save other lives. And that's exactly what they did. They exchanged gunfire with the shooter. To Officer Wilt and his family, we will continue to pray and support you. To the other two LMPD officers who were injured, thank you and all of your colleagues for your service today and every day. I also want to thank all of our other first responders, fire, EMS, Jefferson County Sheriff, state and federal agencies that are helping us at this time. And to Dr. Smith, to you and all of the other doctors and nurses and team at U of L Health for your work today and every day, you too are saving lives in our city, and we thank you. For the rest of us in our city, let's hold each other close and provide comfort where we can. That's what we've done in the past, and that's what we must continue to do now. We've already received offers of assistance from people across this city and country. Thank you. By the end of the day, we'll be providing specific information on how to provide donations to those impacted today if you would like. We will also have more information by the end of the day about a community-wide vigil for the targeted acts of violence that happen today and any day in our city. We will continue to move forward with strength, with prayer, with love, support, and determination. Thank you all. I'm now going to turn it over to Governor Andy Beshear. Governor.
Today is a tragic day in Louisville and for the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky. Acts of violence like this hurt. They tear at the fabric of who we are, at our society, at our state, at our country, and this city. Today, I'm hurt, and I'm hurting. And I know so many people out there are as well. We lost 4 children of God today, one of whom was one of my closest friends. Tommy Elliott helped me build my law career, helped me become governor, gave me advice on being a good dad. He's one of the people I talk to most in the world, and very rarely were we talking about my job. He was an incredible friend. We also lost Juliana Farmer, Jim Tutt, Josh Barrick, each amazing people whose families grieve them, whose community will mourn and will miss them. These are irreplaceable, amazing individuals that a terrible act of violence tore from all of us. We also pray for our LMPD officer and 2 others that right now, while perhaps stable, are still fighting for their lives with a need for our care and, yes, for our prayers, because I believe, and I believe that prayers lift all of us up, and those families would appreciate them. And while I hurt today, and while I will grieve when I'm able, I'm also grateful. I'm grateful for an incredibly quick response from LMPD, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, Louisville Fire and Rescue, Louisville Metro EMS, getting to this scene in 3 minutes. I'm convinced saved other people's lives, and I know saved 2 other of my friends. One, I received incorrect information this morning I thought was gone, and I'd started to mourn. And now I know he's okay. And one I got to see in the ER, that while it's going to take him a while to heal, it was so good to see my friend, see him there with his wife, and know he is still with us. I want to thank KSP, ATF, FBI, every single law enforcement agency that is going to bring their entire weight and their entire resources to bear so that we know exactly what happened in this situation. And you know, there are more first responders than the ones we've listed, because the team at U of L Hospital are first responders too. The first battle was stopping that gunman. The second is doing everything we can to keep those that have been wounded alive. And I want to say to this good doctor behind me, and we have worked together through pandemics and now this, that I'm really proud of what his team is doing. I was in a room where one of those families that are rightfully worried got an update. And it was one that was specific but also provided with compassion. These doctors and nurses are fighting for the lives of our friends, of our family, and we are deeply grateful to them. I think what we need most right now, in a word, is love. I mean, just love. Love for these families. They're going to need it, I can tell you. I've talked to them. I'm very close with one of them. They are going to need that love, and we need love for each other. It seems like we argue so much in this country, so much anger. But I still believe that love and compassion and humanity can lead us to a better place. Now, this is hard. It's really hard the day after Easter. Now, Easter is about a rebirth, a better world, one where we're all supposed to work together to get there, one that's supposed to teach us love from a Savior that came. The world fell in love with him not because of his power, but for his compassion. And I believe what we can do, whether it's any faith or just your values, is ensure that today, more than anything, is about these families, is about those families that are afraid they're going to lose their loved one, about those that have been through the worst and while may have survived, are going to bear the scars inside and outside today. It's got to be about them and the heroic actions of everybody who responded. And yes, I know, in the days to come, we'll talk about issues. But I think the thing that people get wrong after the most difficult of times and days, and as governor, I've had to see a lot of them, is that today ought to be focused on my friend and on everybody else's friends and loved ones that are no longer with us. My faith teaches me that while the body is mortal, the soul is eternal. And so I know that I will see Tommy again. And I know that all of these families and friends in this community, we will be reunited in a better place without violence, without the senselessness and hurt that we feel today. We will get through this. We'll get through this together. It's the only way. And we'll march forward. And my hope is that in honor of those that have fallen today or that may still fall, we can be better and we can do better. We can care about and love each other just a little bit more. Today, to honor those that have fallen and as so many families grieve, I'm ordering our flags statewide, fly at half staff until Friday evening, to make sure that we are paying tribute in every single part of this Commonwealth to those that we have lost. We are one Commonwealth, united with this city, united with these families. What we've had to do a lot in these last 3 years is wrap our arms around each other, and we need to do it here. Thank you. Oh, and next, we're going to hear from Dr. Smith, who is leading an incredible team to try to make sure as many of those that were harmed in this incident get through it. And let me just again say that he and his hospital have my full support and confidence. I've seen it firsthand. What they're doing is nothing short of amazing. And listen, I know they're going to do their best. And while we don't know what that outcome can be, we ought to be appreciative of them for doing their very best.
You've been listening to officials in Louisville discuss this morning's shooting at the Old National Bank. The police chief identified the suspect, a 23-year-old white man, and the 4 victims who died. They are Tommy Elliott, 63-year-old. We heard from the Governor Andy Beshear, who spoke of Elliott as his friend, somebody who was very meaningful in his life. We also heard the other victims are Jim Tutt, 64 years old, Josh Barwick, 40 years old, Juliana Farmer, 57 years old. We also heard from the mayor of Louisville, Craig Greenberg, who himself was targeted by gun violence last year. Somebody had walked into his campaign headquarters targeting him, shot. He was not hit by the bullet, but it did graze him. So this hits close to home for those leaders in this community. We are going to speak right now to CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga. Nicole, we are learning a little bit more about this shooting. We understand now that there are these 4 victims, that the shooter is a 23-year-old white man, Connor Sturgeon. What else are we learning about this incident that caused the deaths of 4 people and 9 people are injured?
Yeah, Lilia, in addition to learning about the suspect, you mentioned 23-year-old white man, we learned that the weapon of choice was a rifle, that the 5 deceased in this case did include the shooter in addition to the 4 victims. You read their names, their ages ranging 40 to 64 years old. We're also learning a little bit more about those injured. There were 9 that were treated at the hospital. Of those 9, 3 remain in critical condition, 3 are in non-critical condition, and 3 have been released from the hospital, thankfully. We're also learning a little bit more about the officer, the member of the Louisville Police Department that remains in critical condition. His name, Officer Nicholas Wilt. He is just 26 years old. He graduated literally days ago from the police academy, the police chief there saying he was sworn in on March 31st while surrounded by his family. His graduating class was there with him at the hospital today. We learned that from some of the local leaders there in Louisville. He was struck in the head. He has come out of brain surgery. And the police chief saying there he remains in critical but stable condition. The police calling this a long and complicated investigation, thanking federal authorities, the ATF, FBI, the University of Louisville Police, and EMS, encouraging anyone in the public who knows more about this incident to step forward and saying that evil should not prevail.
And I'm just, curious about when these things happen. Of course, the major focus is on the victims, on their families, on those who are recovering, in this case, in the hospital, 9 people, including that officer you mentioned, but also on police response. We know this was a bank. Federal agencies are also involved. What do we know about federal officials' response at this point?
Yeah, we know that the FBI and ATF are on the scene, and at this point they would be, combing through what is known about the suspect, searching that individual's home, trying to find out more details regarding a motive. We know that the suspect in this case was an employee of Old National Bank. Police reiterating it there that individual was employed by the bank, but little still known regarding the motive. Also looking for any sort of ammunition, trying to really go back and figure out how many shots were fired and sort of break down a timeline there. We do know that this mass shooting began at Old National Bank on East Main Street at about 8:30 a.m. That's about 30 minutes before officials say that the bank opened, and we know that within 3 minutes of being dispatched, police arrived on that scene. They saw the shooter firing off gunshots. So trying to really duplicate that timeline to determine what exactly happened, how it all played out, and again, trying to identify really a motive here. I mean, police will have, a bit of a lead in understanding that this was an employee of the bank, but trying to drill that down.
I was just looking up a few minutes ago because I was curious about the shooting that happened in Nashville. I know that authorities are still looking into the motive, and as you say, it's something that is the focus of the investigation. But when do you think we can expect to learn more details? I mean, Nashville happened 2 weeks ago. We don't know a whole lot. We haven't seen the so-called manifesto. In cases like these, how long does it take? When can we learn more about the shooter's motive, just in general terms?
I mean, it could take days, it could take weeks. Law enforcement, again, with the assistance of the FBI, will be searching, combing over the scene. We know that scene has been, shot down. We've seen the sort of video out this morning of the police rope still in place, and they are going, car by car, residence by residence, business by business, just searching the surrounding area. At this time, we know of no other threats in the area. Police were very quick to say this is a lone gunman. They believe this suspect to be working alone, but they are looking for any sort of signs, any possessions of the suspect, any writings that could point to a possible grievance or a motive here. They are asking the public to come forth with any information. Louisville is, of course, Kentucky's biggest city, but not a massive city. The 2020 census putting this city at just under 630,000 people. So soliciting any sort of help from the public, individuals who may have known the suspect or perhaps some of the victims. We know there, both the mayor and governor saying that they knew one of the victims, Tommy Elliott. I imagine in the coming days, there will be more that investigators are able to share and learn regarding a potential motive. But it is the case, Lilia, that in certain shootings, we never really find out, the whole answer. Authorities, of course, looking for as many details as they can, any sort of timeline, any sort of motive, any sort of answers that can bring any sort of comfort to families who have lost a loved one at this time. And that's certainly where city officials say their thoughts and prayers are, planning a vigil in the days ahead and also a fund for that community.
Well, Nicole Sganga, I'll let you go to continue making calls to all of your sources in law enforcement. Thank you so much for your time.